Welcome back to the channel, and if it's your first time here, welcome. I'm Shango. Let's talk about action cameras. So, two of the latest action camera just released, the DJI Osmo Action 3 or the DJI Action 3, I'm just gonna shorten the name, and the GoPro 11. But the question I'm asking myself is that, as the action camera scene plateaued, meaning they have come to a level where there's no more level to go with an action camera. Because I remember back then when the action camera first came about, well, when GoPro was popularized by the action camera, as a matter of fact, we never even called it action cameras. We called all action camera GoPro, just as how you call all cotton A swab Q-tip and you call almost all bubble bath jacuzzi. That's what the action camera became, GoPro. When you dominate so much that your name, your brand name, becomes the name of the category. It's kind of no longer like that for GoPro. And DJI have a lot to do with that. I remember back then, like probably about 2014, 2015, when GoPro was it. And GoPro was dominating the market. GoPro was doing it all. And DJI changed stuff. I think that's the reason why there is this big competition between GoPro and DJI. So let me explain. If you don't have the information, I'll explain what happened. GoPro was popular. It became the action camera because person who was surfing, person who are doing action sports were using the GoPro, the wide angle camera. It showed off the entire action sports lifestyle very well. Then we got into drones. And when we got into drones and DJI came out with their first drone, a lot of persons were using GoPros on the earlier drones. Now that even helped GoPro to rise even faster because the persons who were using drone to get that more cinematic shot, still action-like vibes, were using GoPros to get these type of shots. A couple of years, GoPro was still on the DJI drones, and then DJI decided to make their own camera on their drone. Now that was, I wouldn't say the death of GoPro, but that was very detrimental to GoPro. Then, for some reason, strange reason, GoPro had a vendetta against DJI. So GoPro went and made a drone called the Karma. Boy, that was a karma. Because that drone never made any sense. It was a waste of time. The research and development in it was a waste of time. I don't even know why GoPro made that drone in the first place. GoPro tried the drone, then DJI was like, okay, you guys are trying drones. We are gonna go and deal with this action camera. Here come about the DJI Action. So now we are at the third iteration. That's why it's DJI Action 3. And then GoPro is now at the 11th iteration, GoPro Hero 11. GoPro has a lot more experience in the action camera field. But where cameras are nowadays, where technology is as it relates to camera, GoPro is no further than DJI because DJI is out here right now doing the most. DJI is out here right now doing a lot. Every time DJI release a new drone, they just released the DJI Avata, which is an FPV drone. Massive success as far as I see it. A lot of persons are talking about it. A lot of persons are impressed with it. They also release other products down their line. You're talking about their Osmo, which is their cell phone stabilized. They have a lot of products. GoPro seems to just be sticking with your action camera, which I get that. Stick with the action camera because that is what you do best. But my real question is, as action camera plateaued, I realize that the new action camera, the GoPro has 10-bit, they both have 120 frames 4K shooting. Possibly you now can get 1080p at 240 or even higher. Super slow-mo stuff with your GoPro or your action camera. As it come to a level where all action cameras are the same, almost where cell phones are now. That all cell phones are almost the same right now. As the action camera world reach to that level. Because personally, I believe if you have a GoPro Hero 9, you don't necessarily need a Hero 10 or a Hero 11. Probably the rock steady smoothness is a little bit better. There are a couple of little things that is better. You get the screen on the front that you can do more vlog-like stuff. So there are some small differences, which that's how a company actually deal with products. Iteration, 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 small upgrades. Very similar to what the iPhone 14 is now. A small upgrade from the iPhone 13. So I'm not beating them on that. I'm just saying, who are they gearing these cameras towards? Because right now with a GoPro having 10-bit, that's definitely for a person who does videography or cinematography on a certain level. The average person who is going to use their GoPro for TikTok or Instagram Reels, they are not going to use 10-bit. Is it that GoPro right now is not catering for the average man? Or is it that they're just focusing on the professionals? Because when you introduce 10-bit, most times it's professional. I don't even use 10-bit and I shoot these type of videos and stuff like that. And even if I had the capability to use 10-bit in a pipeline mean that you have to spend even more time in the editing room trying to color this footage. I shoot flat with these Sony cameras and then add a little color into it. 10-bit will give me a lot more latitude in terms of what I can do with the coloring and stuff like that. But I don't want to add that to my workflow. The average person who is making content on TikTok, on Instagram, because I realize they all now are doing more like vertical video, which all you had to do vertical video with them is just turn them sideways anyway, which is what we do with our cameras when we're doing vertical video with them. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. The question that I ask now with the Hero 9, the Hero 10 and the Hero 11, the differences are so small that I don't know if somebody need to spend their money on the latest GoPro. If you don't have a GoPro, then fine, buy the latest. If you have a Hero 9, you might want to upgrade to a Hero 11, but you don't have to. If you have a Hero 10, you definitely shouldn't be upgrading to a Hero 11. It's very similar to DJI Action 2. If you have a DJI Action 2, you shouldn't be upgrading to DJI Action 3. Mind you, all the new technologies and all the new products will definitely have new ways of doing things and a better feature to do this one thing and better tracking and better stabilization and better. But when does the better is not significant enough for you to just say, oh, I'm going to leave it? Because right now, even with the iPhone, perfect example, the iPhone stabilization, this action mode that they're calling, if you really compare it with the stabilization in the 13, it's not that super significant. It makes sense, but it's not that super significant. And most persons who are shooting professional who are going to use one of those gimbal stabilization thing, because you don't necessarily want to lose the resolution of what you're shooting just to get the stabilization. I understand it from a person who, they're not a professional and they just want smooth footage, but a professional will definitely get stuff to stabilize their footage. Just as though you see professional using steady cams and professional using gimbals, because the camera has stabilization, but they want it to be more stable. The action camera world, to me, has come to a plateau. We will definitely get more megapixel. We will definitely get slow motion, but that is all they are going to upgrade. Right now, one of the class as it relates to cameras that I am watching and I am very impressed with is 360 cameras. And Insta360 just released a next Insta360 camera. But who knows, probably in the next couple of years, that will come to a plateau too. Not much innovation for you to say, oh yeah, this is something new. But I don't know. I just see it as that the action camera scene, which is a fight between DJI and GoPro right now, I don't know. They're just making almost the same camera for the same purpose. I just know that this war, this fighting with the action cameras, overall it end up benefiting us as the consumer. I don't know if these two new cameras worth upgrading. I just don't know. And I'll try and get my hands on them to see what they're about. I've watched a couple reviews. I've seen the excitement around them, what they can do, what they can't do. But it's not much different than what they could have done last year. Some small upgrades. So if you have a Hero 10, you don't need the Hero 11. If you have an Action 2, you don't need the Action 3. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share and subscribe. It helps the channel. I'm Shango. See you in the next one. Bless up yourself.